let's move on to all of this. I had no idea what to expect with this one, but it was really funny. It was wholesome, it was cute, it was romantic, and I feel like the third act breakup was resolved really fast. I liked that the author didn't drag out the third act breakup to a point where it got annoying. It got resolved fast, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I gave this book a 5 stars. So what is this about? So let's flip it over. So in this one we follow Maggie Mitchell, and so Maggie and Brody have known each other for a while, mainly because Brody is Maggie's brother's best friend. Now, there was an accident when Maggie and Brody kissed during the wedding of Maggie's brother, and ever since there's been like tension between them, but I think Brody reacted really badly to that kiss. It was like, ew, like in Maggie's perspective, he acted like he was disgusted by the kiss when it technically wasn't. Brody acted that way because he realized he was kissing the little sister of his best friend, and he didn't felt comfortable with that. And by little, they're like, their age gap is probably like 4 years. Not a big deal, but for him it was, because Brody is like, they're really close friends, and like he felt like by doing that he had betrayed their friendship. Yeah, I really like this story. I don't know what else to say. So next off, I have the first and second book in a 3-book series, and the reason why I only have I'm going to be talking about the first and second is because the third book, I hate that book. I hate the third book so much, and I'm talking about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is the first book, and the second book is Good Girl Bad Blood. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't like the third book. I feel like it went downhill in the third book. So this is a YA mystery thriller. In both books we follow different mysteries, but we do follow the same character, which is Poppy, who in the first book, Poppy decides to do like her final project, one of her final projects, trying to solve the mysterious disappearance of a friend. The first book is really good. I really enjoyed it. So after the events of the first book, in the second book, Pip, which, why did I name her Poppy? Is her name Poppy? Anyways, Pip now has a podcast where she is like retelling everything that happened in the first book, but now in a podcast format, and she has decided to not start any new investigation. But what happens when the brother of a friend goes missing, and now this friend is asking Pip to help solve the mystery because the police is not doing anything, because this brother is like in college, he's like in his 20s, and like always the cops don't want to do anything because like their excuse is always they ran away, so, or like they will get in touch later. And so now Pip has the pressure of the brother and the brother's family, mainly the mom, because the father did not want to get involved in this. He was like, just let the police do its work, but obviously they're not doing that. So the brother, who is Pip's friend, and the mom are like asking Pip to solve this mystery. And that's what the second book is about. And the third book I did not like, so I'm not even going to talk about it. I feel like if you want to read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you can definitely only read the first book and leave it at that. But if you want to read the second book, I 100% recommend the second book as well, and skip the third one. Let's move on to the other one. This is Hold Me Closer, Necromancer by Lish McBride. I really like this book. I had no idea why it took me forever to get to this book. I think I bought this book like in 2020, and I finally read it last year, and it's so good. It's so funny. It has supernatural elements. I feel like this is more of a like urban fantasy, because we have like werewolves and like witches and I think maybe vampires. So we follow this guy who is, unbeknownst to him, a necromancer, and he discovers this about himself when one day, after trying to leave work, he gets attacked by a werewolf. And the humor of this book, it was funny, it was entertaining, it was fast paced. You basically see Sam going through like trial and error and like trying to run away from Douglas and like learning this new thing about himself. Very entertaining, very fun. I really enjoyed it, and I have to be honest, I'm a fan of necromancers. I feel like that's no news to you guys because, like I said, I like stories that have ghosts or someone that has the ability to ghost. So obviously I'm going to like someone that has the ability to conjure the dead. So I have this other book. This is a YA fantasy. This is 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. So in this book we follow Shiori. She is the princess of like this kingdom, and she has her dad, her stepmother, and brother. What happens is one day she discovers this conspiracy that another kingdom is trying to take over the place where she was born, where she was raised, and she's not going to let it happen. The thing is, she discovers that their mother could be part of this entire plan. And what happens is the stepmother discovers that Shiori now knows about this plan, and so Shiori tries to tell her brothers what is happening. What happens is there's a secret the stepmother has been keeping for years now, and it's the fact that she's a sorceress. And so when Shiori is trying to let her brothers know of the events that are about to unravel, her stepmother shows up at the room and she puts a curse on Shiori and her brother. So her brothers are turned into crane, which is why the book is called 6 Crimson Cranes. And Shiori gets placed a curse where she cannot speak of the events that just happened. And that's how Shiori is now left outside of her kingdom, outside of her palace, and trying to solve everything that's about to happen. It's very good, it's very fascinating, it's so fast paced, but at the same time it's so entertaining. But for now, I 100% recommend the book. If you would like to read YA and you haven't read this, please read it. It's very good in my personal opinion. Next off, let's talk about, I think this is a classic fantasy book. I feel like there's not a lot of people that don't know about this book, or have not heard about this book, or have not watched the movie. This is The Fellowship of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I listened to the audiobook, and the way the narrator told the story, I really like the fact that the narrator did different voices for different characters. Yeah, the audiobook 5 stars, the story 5 stars, the characters 5 stars. I cannot wait to read the second book and continue with the story. I don't want to go too much into detail with this because I feel like everyone knows this, but it's basically a hero's journey. So entertaining. If you have the opportunity to listen to the audiobook, please give it a try. Next off, I have other 3 books are romance. First one right here, this is A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by False Meadows. I love this book so much, I actually want to reread it. So in this book we follow Belassin and Kethari. Belassin his family is involved in like the royalty of this story, and what happens is Belassin is supposed to be getting married. He is entering an arranged marriage, and he's not happy because, well, his betrothed is a girl, and Belassin does not like girls in that way, but you know what, he's going to do it. He is the son of like the first wife of his father, but like his father doesn't have a lot of love for Belassin, and so because of this, Belassin is like, if I get married to this girl, maybe my father will now recognize me. My father might show some interest in me if I do this for the family. And so he's going to push through this arranged marriage. What happens is, when the representatives of the other kingdom of his betrothed kingdom shows up, there has been an accident. And what happens is that Besalin is discovered with his lover, but it wasn't something that Belassin had consented to. So basically the representatives of this other kingdom walked in on Besalin being taken advantage of, but Besalin is like he cannot think about what just happened to him, because he has now been discovered for liking men, and his kingdom is known to absolutely not tolerate these types of relationship. And so he is now more afraid of his father's reaction, knowing that he likes men, knowing that he has now ruined the opportunity to get into this arranged marriage with this other kingdom. What happens is the representatives of this kingdom are like, you know what, don't even worry, it's okay, it's okay, you don't have to marry the princess, you can marry her brother. And that's where Thadi comes in. Let's call him K. That's where K comes in. That's how they meet, and that's how the story develops. This story is so good. It's so fascinating, so interesting. There is a plot beyond the relationship between these two characters. Please read this book. Okay, the other book I have here is called Lock Yourself. This is the second book. Well, first of all, this is by Sarah Rash. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Yeah, so this is part of her like duology of like prince of like holidays finding their love. And in this one we follow the second son of Christmas and the prince of St. Patrick's Day. I forgot, I completely blank, and it's right there. In this one we basically there's like a meter that like this is so hard to explain if you haven't read the book, but basically like each holiday brings in joy, and there's Christmas has this like entire meter thing where it measures the amount of joy that they have, and that joy basically gives them like the ability to use magic. And so at the beginning of the story we see that there's a shamrock next to the joy meter, and basically that shamrock has been stealing joy from Christmas. And so now it's to the younger son of Santa Claus, which I think his name is Christopher now how to go into St. Patrick. Okay, the other book I have here is called Lock Yourself. This is the second book. Well, first of all, this is by Sarah Rash. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Yeah, so this is part of her like duology of like prince of like holidays finding their love. And in this one we follow the second son of Christmas and the prince of St. Patrick's Day. I forgot, I completely blank, and it's right there. Basically there's like a meter that like this is so hard to explain if you haven't read the book, but basically like each holiday brings in joy, and there's Christmas has this like entire meter thing where it measures the amount of joy that they have, and that joy basically gives them like the ability to use magic. And so at the beginning of the story we see that there's a shamrock next to the joy meter, and basically that shamrock has been stealing joy from Christmas. And so now it's to the younger son of Santa Claus, which I think his name is Christopher now how to go into St. Patrick to investigate and figure out what is happening. Why was there a shamrock stealing joy from Christmas? Like, what is going on over there at St. Patrick's Day? It is a very like enemies to lovers type of story, also forced proximity. So yeah, it was a fun read. Very campy. It's a very campy story. It was a really good read and it was funny. And this is the last book I need to talk about. This is by a indie author. Her name is Ru Jing Ji. This is The Prince of Glass. Now I discovered this through TikTok. The author was doing promotions about her book and I saw it piqued my interest, and I went into Kindle Unlimited. I got it, I read it, and now it's here. Yeah, this book is so good. I really recommend this one, but I feel like I would not do justice to what this book is about, because like it has plot, it has a slow romance. So by the end of this book, the romantic relationship hasn't even started, but you feel the yearning of the characters. You feel that they're like already like falling for one another, but something happens that separates them, and now I'm currently waiting for the second book, and I feel like I need to read you guys the description of this. Just one thing, this is a bodyguard and prince romance. Please read this book. This is fascinating. Let me read you guys a bit about the synopsis. So, in the glass palace of a dying empire, a bloodline power is awakened, and loyalty is tested as two destinies intertwine. Sheng Fengren, a dedicated captain from the borderlands, lives by the blade and bow to protect. But when an act of heroism thrusts him into the heart of the glass palace, he's faced with a new, unexpected assignment: personal guard to the fragile Prince of Glass. Far from the battlefield, he knows, will he lose himself or find something he never expected? No one expects much from Prince Baojian, the last heir to a divine touch bloodline. Sheltered from the world by the overprotected empress and trivialized by the courts, he is trapped in a world of whispers and reflections that don't show the truth of who he is. When an assassination attempt awakens in him a power the world believes lost, will his glass prison finally shatter, or smother him completely? When the threat against the throne still looming and no one else to trust, Sheng Fen must decide what it means to protect a prince who is more than he seems, and Baojian might discover exactly what he's capable of, even if it leads to danger in more ways than one. Fascinating. Please give this book a try. Please go give it a read. It's so good. It's, like I said, it's fast paced, and it's not even that long. 205 pages, guys. It's not long. Please give this book a try. The rest are like horror books or like mysteries, whatever you want to call them. I would say they're more like suspense novels more than mystery or horror. But let's start with this one. This is by one of my favorite like mystery thriller authors. Her name is Geneva Rose, and here we have Dating After the End of the World. I think I've talked about this before, but we basically follow this doctor who she is working at a hospital when all of a sudden her patient, the one that she was treating, this person starts acting very violent, and he bites I think it's a nurse. And then the doctor is obviously freaking out. She's like, what is happening? And so she decides to go into the like resting area to like call for help. That's where she realizes that what happened inside that hospital room is also happening outside. So there are people freaking out, there's people biting each other. It's very entertaining. Like, her stories tend to be very campy, and they tend to be either a hit or miss for most people. For me personally, I really like her stories, and I really like this book. Okay, I feel like this is a better angle than the one that I had. Yes, so this is a honorable mention because this novella is no longer available. The author decided to remove this novella from her Kindle Unlimited, and I understand why. She basically said that this was a like writing exercise for her. She was like barely like trying to develop her like writing style and like what type of story she wanted to put out. And she said that she wasn't proud of her work, but personally I love this book. I tend to not read novellas because they do tend to be really small, so the plot in novellas don't tend to have a lot of like develop, or like the characters tend to feel flat. But for this one, I gave this novella 5 stars. Let's talk about this book. The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. I had no idea what to expect. When I went into this book, I heard someone say that it was very good, and that kind of intrigued me, but I was debating whether or not I should get a physical copy of it. And then I found it on Kindle Unlimited, and yeah, I read it. I have to be completely honest and say that at the very beginning it was hard for me to get into the story, but it's once I got into it, it was fascinating. I couldn't stop reading it. I was working and I couldn't stop thinking about everything that was unraveling in this story. So let me tell you what this book is about. So we follow our main character, Ji-won, who she's a college student. She is doing her best to pass all of her classes. Sadly, there's a drama happening at home. Her father just left their mother. At the end of the book, we learn that he was probably dating someone else, and that's the reason why he left. And so now she has to deal with the pressure of college, and also seeing her mother go through this very depressive moment where I feel like the mom didn't know how to be without her husband, and it caused a lot of drama. It caused a lot of tension between this family. What happens is one day, and the mom makes this like fish, and the mom always eats the eye of the fish. And Ji-won, trying to cheer up her mom, trying to distract her mom from everything that is happening, she decides to eat the other eye because apparently it's like it brings in good luck to whoever eats it. And like the mom, we learned that the mom had always tried to make Ji-won or her sister eat the eyes of the fish, but it's very like yucky for them, and that's why they never did it until now, right? Because Ji-won, like I said, wants to like in a way make her mom proud and like make her forget for a moment that their father is no longer around, that her husband left. And that's like you see, I feel like in this book there's a lot of child neglect, especially from the mother, right? Because what happens is after a while the mom stops being sad. She's like all of a sudden she's like so happy, and we learn that the reason why she's like being happy-go-lucky again is because she has been talking to a man. And like, don't get me wrong, like she deserves to be happy, but it's the way she completely forgot that she had 2 daughters. One of them is in college, right? But at the end of the day, she still needed her mother, and the fact that her younger sister was still in high school, but the mom was so distraught, she was so sad that her husband left, that she completely forgot to like pay attention to what was happening to her kids. And then instead of focusing on her daughters, she brings in this guy who's his name is George. He's a white man. I forgot to say that our main character and like her mom and sister are both Korean. And so he brings in this guy whose name is George, and he is a total creep. He's a creep. He has Asian fettuccine. Decode that word. He only dates Asian women because of that, and it's at some points like it irked me so much, and I got so mad with the mom because you brought in a guy you barely know into your home, where you have a high school girl, you have two daughters, and this guy was a total creep. It's disgusting. What happens is, after eating the fish eye, Ji-won starts to have this certain type of dreams. And when George shows into the picture, she's always looking at her at George's eye, and like his eye is blue. And when Ji-won goes to sleep, she's always dreaming of blue eyes. And one day she dreams that she eats a blue eye, and right there is the start of Ji-won spiraling, of Ji-won losing her shit. It's fascinating. It's female rage to the max, right? Because again, you understand where like her inner rage comes in, because at home she has to deal with George. She has to deal with her mom, and like her mom putting pressure on both her and her sister to be this like perfect submissive daughters for George, to like not talk back to him, to like behave well. And in college she also has to deal with guys who talk so bad about women, but not just like women in this specific, but like Asian women, how like she heard a conversation between like two like college students where they were talking how they like to date Asian women because they're very submissive, and like that got to her, right? And that was like at the beginning of the story, before George comes into the picture. And then after George comes into the picture, and like her mom is essentially forcing her to be submissive to this guy, she feels even more disgusted, and she starts to feel so much rage. And I love this book. Like, it's so good. I really like how it goes beyond it being a horror psychological thriller. It has so much to give, so much, can take so much from this book, and there is so much beyond it just being a character that has rage. There's a reason for her feeling the way she's feeling. There's a reason for why she is acting the way she's acting. There's a reason why she does what she does. And it's so fascinating. I really like this book, as you can tell. I 100% recommend this book. It was my favorite of 2025. I cannot wait to read what Monica Kim comes out with, because I forgot to say this is a debut novel. I 100% recommend this book if you like female rage, but like where it's not just hurt others for hurting others. There's like very specific reason why Ji-won does what she does, and it's so good. I feel like a lot of people didn't like this book because they were expecting a bit more of it to be more like horrific, more like to focus more on the action she does. But I feel like if you go into it knowing that it is more than a psychological thriller, that like the topics it talks about, it's very important to learn about. I forgot to mention something, and it's the fact that George is a very disgusting man, and there is a moment where he talks very disgustingly about Ji-won's sister, who is a high school student. So if you don't want to read that, maybe skip this book. Let's move on to the other book that I really like, and that is Mary by Nat Cassidy. This felt like a fever dream. I've heard people talk about this book, and I was always curious. I like reading horror books, and this felt like I was watching a movie, and I really like when horror books do that. It was fun. So we basically follow, oh my god, what's her name? I mean, never mind, her name is Mary. That's the title of the book. That's so embarrassing. So yeah, so Mary is a middle-aged lady. She has been working at this museum, but because she's not young anymore, according to the work politics of this museum, she gets fired. And so Mary is like, she has this aunt who took care of Mary when she was a child, because her parents passed. And this aunt she's not a very good person. She wasn't very nice to Mary when she was a child, and then this aunt calls Mary. It's like, hey, you need to come and pay me back for taking care of you when you were a child, because I cannot be living by myself at my old age. So you better come and pay back what I gave to you. And so now Mary has no job. So she decides to, okay, like, I really don't want to, because I really don't like this aunt. But she goes and she finds a job organizing like documents for this. Was it a hospital? I'm pretty sure it was a hospital. And she remembers that in this town where she used to live, there was a crime that may or may not be back to haunt Mary. Or is it just, Mary and her menopausive hallucinations that are making her believe all of it? Who knows? You have to figure that out for yourself. I really enjoyed this book. I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is so good. The narrator did such a good job. Like, at points I was so frustrated with Mary. Like, the entire plot of the story starts to happen, and the narrator did such a great job of like adding emotion. 100% recommend the audiobook. And the last book that I have here is We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. This is, how would I categorize? I feel like this is like a supernatural thriller, maybe. So we follow this married couple who have moved into this new house. What happened is the wife had an accident. She had a car accident, and so they decide to live in this house that's like in the middle of nowhere. I mean, they obviously have neighbors, but they're like very separated, and they decide to live in this house. What happens is that when the wife is at the house, there's moments where she hears noises coming from the house, and she's obviously freaking out because what is going on. And like, there's moments where doors are being closed when doors are being opened. There is a moment where she removes a nail from the floor that was poking out, and so if someone stepped on it, they were going to get hurt. She removes that nail, and then like the following day the nail is back. There is a moment where she's like rearranging her book, and all of a sudden like some of the book fall on the floor to leave a message of get out of here. And so she's obviously freaked out, and she tells her husband, and like her husband doesn't believe her. He's like, honey, you just got out of the hospital, you're not doing well mentally. I think you're like imagining all of this. And the wife is like, no, I'm not. I'm 100% sure all of this is happening. And then she meets her neighbor who's like, oh, you moved into that house? And she's like, yeah, like I'm your new neighbor, like hi. And then the neighbor just like, yeah, okay, and walks away. So what is happening? This house has a lot of history that we are going to learn about as we continue to read. The way the events of the book were unfolding, I was not expecting that. Until this day, I'm like, wow, this is a book that wowed me, and it's a good book. If you like books that have this like haunted house atmosphere, I feel like you will like this. I don't want to say more about this because it's going to spoil this story. It's such a good story, and I 100% recommend this one if you want to read a supernatural, like haunted house type of story with a mystery and like unraveling all the events that happen in this house. It's the last book for today's video. I talked a lot. I feel like this is the longest video I have ever filmed. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you all on the next one, which is going to be about the manga, my favorite manga of 2025. And let me know down in the comments below what book you are going to be reading from the ones I recommended, or let me know what was your favorite book of 2025. I would like to read it. And thank you all so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.